The Gen 6 Glock didn't come out of nowhere, and that's exactly why a lot of people are uneasy about it. When you line up the V model release, the lawsuits, and then this sudden, full-blown redesign, it stops looking like coincidence and starts looking like a plan. I'm Tommy from the Armory, and if you think Glock rolled out Gen 6 just to make shooters happy, you're missing the part where gun owners paid to get there. But first, do me a quick favor. Tap that subscribe button. Ring the bell. It's not required, but those clicks keep this channel alive and make it easier for me to keep putting solid, no-nonsense content straight onto your screen. All right, let's get back into it. The V model, why it never felt like a real upgrade. The V model wasn't an upgrade. That V-Mark Glock that popped up right before Gen 6 never felt like a real improvement to me. On the outside, it was basically a Gen 5 clone. Same grip profile, same ergonomic shooters have complained about for years. Same overall feel in the hand. Nothing changed that actually mattered to the end user. The only thing Glock talked about publicly was what changed inside the slide. Switch pressure and why the V series existed. Specifically, adjustments around the striker area. Changes Glock said were intended to make illegal auto-sear conversions harder to pull off. And this part is important. Industry outlets like guns.com and reporting tied to the trace were very clear. The V series existed because of switch-related pressure, not because shooters were demanding it. Lawsuits, the real force behind design changes. That pressure wasn't theoretical. In 2024 and 2025, multiple cities and state attorneys general filed lawsuits claiming Glock pistols were too easy to convert to full auto. Reuters covered judges allowing cases like Chicago's to move forward. Those arguments focused squarely on Glock's internal geometry and long-standing design choices. When a company is facing that level of legal heat, the fastest move is pointing to a redesign. You walk into court and say, "We changed the internals." That matters legally, even if it barely changes anything for regular owners. Chicago opens the door. Then the floodgates follow. Chicago filed its case in March 2024. The city claimed Glock continued selling pistols that were easily converted with cheap illegal auto-sears. And Chicago didn't just complain. They asked the court to block sales unless Glock changed the design. That's not online noise. That's a city trying to force a redesign through court orders and damages. Then it spread. In December 2024, Minnesota and New Jersey filed lawsuits on the same basic theory. Reuters covered those filings, and the public pitch was simple. Switches are showing up at crime scenes, and officials want Glock to make the platform harder to convert. Maryland, Baltimore, and the pattern emerges. Pressure kept stacking. In March 2024, a coalition of state attorneys general sent Glock a preservation letter connected to the Chicago case. That letter told Glock to preserve records related to conversion risks. Translation: don't destroy anything. By February 2025, Maryland and Baltimore filed their own lawsuit. The Associated Press reported it using a public nuisance theory and demanding design changes and other relief. At that point, this wasn't one jurisdiction swinging. It was a pattern. PLCAA, exceptions, and why discovery changes everything. Normally, Glock leans on the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act, PLCAA. That law blocks most lawsuits that try to blame manufacturers for criminal misuse. But plaintiffs keep pushing exceptions. Consumer protection claims, public nuisance theories. In September 2025, Reuters reported an Illinois judge refused to dismiss Chicago's case at the motion to dismiss stage. The judge said the claims could proceed under an exception argument. That matters, because discovery is expensive, discovery is risky, and discovery changes behavior. The V model as liability management. Once discovery opens, companies start making moves. That incentive is massive. So when Glock quietly slips out an internal update, it reads like liability management. Something Glock can point to in court while still saying illegal switches are aftermarket crimes. With that context, the jump from the V model to Gen 6 starts looking a lot less random. Gen 6, the real generational upgrade. Gen 6 proves the V model was temporary. Seeing Glock drop a full Gen 6 announcement right after the V series is what made everything click. Glock's own Gen 6 materials spell out a real overhaul. A redesigned frame, built-in palm swell, a larger beaver tail, an extended thumb rest. Shooter-facing features. What Glock finally delivered. Glock also describes a new grip texture approach. Two textures blended across a larger surface area. Add the undercut trigger guard highlighted on Glock's Gen 6 tech page, and the focus is obvious. Higher grip, better lock-in, more control. Trigger matters too. Gen 6 ships with a flat-face trigger shoe while keeping the safe action system. That detail comes directly from Glock's official Gen 6 documentation. Same deal with optics. Gen 6 treats optic readiness as a core feature, not an afterthought. Why the V-Series looks like a bridge model. Now compare that to what the V-Series represented. The V models were sold almost entirely around internal geometry changes, raised edges, updated channel geometry, changes Glock says interfere with illegal conversion devices. Then Gen 6 shows up and keeps that same internal concept, but wraps it in a true next-generation package. That timing matters. The V-Series was the bridge. Paid beta testers, gun owners in the real world. And if the V-Series was the bridge, the next question is obvious. Who did the real-world proving on those internals before Glock went all in with Gen 6? Gun owners did. Real-world proving doesn't happen in a lab alone. Glock rolled those internal changes into normal retail guns at full retail prices. No limited pilot run, no evaluation label, straight into the wild. Striker geometry, tolerances, and why field data matters. That environment matters. People shoot hard, swap parts, bolt on aftermarket gear. That's where tolerance stacking shows up. That's where oddware appears. When you change geometry around the striker and trigger interface, you're dealing with tiny clearances. Those clearances affect reset feel, engagement surfaces, and long-term durability. If something's off, you want to see it before stamping Gen 6 on it. Why this isn't just a Glock story. What makes gun owners feel used is the packaging. Glock never said this was transitional. The V-Series was sold as a meaningful update tied to illegal switch concerns. Meanwhile, reporting and court filings kept focusing on conversion pressure. Reuters and ProPublica have documented how lawsuits are used to force design changes. And this isn't new. Remington, Sandy Hook, $73 million in 2022. Polymer, 80, Baltimore, February 2024. Settlement with sales bans. Court-driven product mandates without new federal law. Gen 6 may be better, but the process is the warning. So here's where I land. If someone wants Gen 6 because it fits their hand better, runs their optic, and gives them a cleaner trigger feel, cool. That's a normal consumer choice. The part that deserves attention is the incentive structure. A quick internal change gives Glock something to point to in litigation. Then Gen 6 arrives with the same internal theme, plus the real ergonomics. Gen 6 might be a win on the range, but the process is the warning. Watch the timelines, read the claims, and stop buying bridge models just because it says new today.